Hello, howdy, sup, alright mate, aloha, g'day! This is Travel Tuesdays for Foodie fans. Bryce Morrison is your host and I'm Carla, your colorful commentator. However you greet your friends, we're excited you're here for the journey as we take you across these United States and around the world to find the very best in food and wine. Join us every Tuesday as we interview foodie travelers, award-winning bartenders, restaurateurs, and more to find out their go-to bars and restaurants and how to find them. Enjoy the show!
And now, part 2.
So, if you had an extra $1,000 a month in your budget,
yeah,
what would you do with it?
In general?
In general.
Well, yeah, travel. There's that. I mean, look, for $1,000, especially right now. Oh my God, you can get tickets so cheap to go. If you're not afraid to get on a plane, you can go places. I was checking to go up to Wisconsin to help my parents for a little bit for a week, and then have to go to Phoenix for some work, and then come back here. I can do that whole trip for $300 in Southwest.
Of course,
crazy. No, but I think I would travel. $1,000 a month. I mean, I'd have to save for a couple months to get out to Disneyland. I think that would definitely be the top priority. But if it was like, oh, you have to burn it every month, I like the weekend getaways. You know?
So that we're seeing prices right now for August as low as $200 round trip to California.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we have a client that's looking at going out to San Diego.
Wow.
I gotta say, I'm disappointed. We've mentioned Disney several times. I've yet to hear the Mickey voice. Mickey voice.
Come on out. No. Hold on. Let me think. I don't want to do it off the cuff because it's like, okay. So, all right, the Mickey voice. Gosh, come on, everybody. Book through my good pals, Bryce and Carla. That wasn't so great.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times we're actually going to play that back?
No, I'm going to have Disney's lawyers after me. That wasn't even that good.
Oh, no. Come on now. So anyway.
I'm usually more along the lines of I have my affirmations in my, I had to scan them, so I took them out of my book, but I have an affirmation in the morning that says, I'm a warrior and I never give up. So I will combine that with Phantasmic and say, you may think you're so powerful. Well, I am a warrior and I never give up. Like that. So I kind of it's a little bit better. You get the inflection there. So anyway, it's good.
I love it. I thought it was fantastic. $1,000 extra a month would have you traveling then.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at least doing I'm all about experiences. You ask Marco the same question, he'll come over with a whole list of things he's going to buy, right? but yeah, I'm much more about that. I mean, I would be, for where we are here, I'd probably start with cruises, honestly. I mean, you're 30 minutes from the port. We went over there on our anniversary to go to the beach and eat. So, I think I'd start with the cruises. Obviously, those are believe me, I have my eye on Disney ships with.
I was just going to say Disney.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I have this. I'm literally, I know you guys sell all of them, but it's I'm afraid to sail on another ship or another cruise line.
I get it.
It's a bar. So I've been on 7 Disney cruises, and it's just I can't imagine cruising with someone else. But
knowing you the way I do now, I would be scared to put you on any other cruise except Disney. And I mean, there are luxury cruise lines out there that are superior to Disney in every way, except they're not Disney.
Exactly.
And knowing you,
yeah.
That's, shameless plug. We are focused on making sure that we pair people with the right experience for them. So I strongly advise you to continue with your Disney experiences.
Yeah. It's a thing. You're right. It could be the same and even better in every way, but it's not. If that horn doesn't do the gall-dang when you wish upon a star or the 6 other things that it does, then it's just not the same, I guess. It's all the little touches. running into a character that's going from point A to point B, but because it's not mobbed like a theme park, they're actually able to stop and interact with you when usually they wouldn't be able to do so. It's little stuff like that, that really sets it apart.
When you go on these business trips, like to Sydney, Australia, I know earlier we talked a little bit about you don't really plan when you go out, but how do you find these places?
Yeah, so I'll use South Korea as the most recent example. Because there you've got a language barrier, you've got a reading barrier, writing barrier. So there's very little capability to communicate, although they speak English in many places. But if you go truly local, that definitely declines. So, we basically, in this particular case, like it's a call center that I was helping upgrade the software. So we had someone locally who would kind of recommend some places. But honestly, most of the time, it is literally like our world revolves around where's the office and where's the hotel and where can we eat and how does that all fit together. So during the week, it's more about just walking until you see something interesting, or maybe looking at Google Maps and trying to find something that's in the area based on what you're going for. And then asking around, asking the locals, asking the staff, hey, where would you go? It's a concierge company, so it's like kind of their job to know what's good. So that worked out well. That always works out well. But it's like, just finding out maybe what they would recommend, and then venturing out on the weekend a little bit more if we're able to go find other places. But in South Korea, it was pretty much like the office was right by this long area that had all kinds of just local diner places. So it was perfect.
So you said that you walk until you find a place that looks interesting.
Yeah.
What does that place look like?
Well, it should have food I'm not afraid to eat. That's step one.
Well, that's a plus.
It's like, look, we're Westerners, right? We're looking for that. We like our emotional appeal. We like we like the way things look. That very much matters. So I think probably what draws in is just looking at how are they presenting kind of a little bit on the outside and making sure like you feel relatively safe to go in and eat and whatnot. So I don't know. That's a good question. I never put a whole lot of thought because it always tends to be a group thing. It's like, well, you want to try this? Yeah, sure. That looks okay. All right. In we go. And we go from there with it. So
from all of these business trips, what's your greatest find? Is it that Italian restaurant in Sydney? Or, I saw that you've been to Russia. Anything you can tell us about that?
The fashion is phenomenal. The fashion was phenomenal. They literally wear boots with the fur, and I loved it. The women's fashion was fierce. But from a food perspective, honestly, I don't remember anything that really stood out in Russia, of all places. It wasn't, I don't know, it didn't seem all that unique. And it was definitely one of those cases where I couldn't speak Russian, I didn't speak English, can't read the menu. So it's like practically, just pointing at the food that's like, yeah, that looks good. And communicating with sign language. So there's not a lot of discussion around things, but none of that. It was several years ago, but nothing really stands out from a culinary perspective for Russia, actually. Not to me anyway.
So one of the things, Carla and I were talking about this before the show, being travel planners, we don't see a whole lot of people. So
yeah,
going back a little bit, when it comes to people looking for destinations, whether they're foodies or not, food plays into whether or not they want to go to that destination. And that's proven by the fact that the UK actually worked very hard to revamp their culinary culture and have actually created these culinary escapes that go out into the countryside, because the UK London especially, was not known for food.
Yeah.
People really were turned off by it, and they weren't traveling there because of it. You go to London, you see Big Ben, okay, let's go somewhere else now. And they've worked really hard to change that thought process. And the one thing I would say about Russia, it's not that the food's not great, but like you said, it's hard to find. So I think that's one of the reasons why we see so many people more interested in the river cruises in Russia, because they get that taste of Russia, and they still have high quality food, and they know where to go because it's right there on the cruise that they're on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because it definitely wasn't all that memorable from that perspective. And I think you asked the greatest find. Honestly, Phoenix. Look, I would say overall the pizza at Sydney is still the one thing I heavily am like, that was just so surprising to me. But I've had really good food in Phoenix. And I've been to Phoenix multiple times now and always seem to find great stuff. So definitely Phoenix has come in. And I mean, I was young at the time, but I went to China in 8th grade, and that was amazing. The food, I mean, aside from them bringing a fish with the head and then everyone picking off of it with their chopsticks, was a little traumatizing to the 8th grader who doesn't like to look at his fish like that. I don't want to see it until it's filleted on my plate, right? I'm that guy.
So you didn't eat any of the eyes?
No, definitely did not. I about lost it at the dinner when so my dad was doing a foreign teacher exchange, right? And so he's there, and then we were visiting over Christmas break, and our Christmas break. And so the Chinese are very hospitable in that regard. So they wanted to, it was banquet. We want to welcome you. It's hospitality. And it's like, so we were always going to these banquets. And so we got, so they bring out this fish, and I'm like, oh my God, that was the first time I had experienced that in my life. But the food overall was so good. It's just so much flavor in authentic Chinese food. It was just really, really, really good. So I definitely enjoyed that. Overall, if I got to go back to China, I would be excited for the food. That's for sure.
I've not been to China, but I've heard Carmen was on our show a few weeks ago, and she went to Shanghai not too long ago. I've heard that what we perceive to be Chinese food really has very little to do with China.
Yeah. Well, they don't have egg rolls, and they definitely don't coat everything in sugary sauces. I mean, it ain't Panda Express. It's like, Marco and I always joke about that because, it's like, I love Panda Express, but at the same time, it's like, this isn't real Chinese food. It's totally Americanized. Which is unfortunate.
Chinese food? Is that like saying Taco Bell's not real Mexican food?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, something like that. That is so incredibly true in so many ways. So yeah, that's I would say that's definitely true.
So we've talked about South Korea, Russia, China, Australia. Where else have you been in the world? Phoenix, Arizona.
Mexico. Lot. I mean, not a lot, but I mean, my in-laws live in Mexico City, and they have a house in Oaxaca, outside Oaxaca.
Now, if I remember right, you don't care for spicy food, right?
Yeah, I have a limit. Like, I'm not against it. I just don't. I have a limit, and I'm learning to push that limit.
Good.
Because of the Mexico thing, but there's still a limit. I think I've definitely gotten better about it. I'm willing to try to push that a little bit, but I don't want my mouth to be on fire just to be on fire.
Right.
Like if it's flavorful and it's spicy, that's the direction I want to go. Sometimes you end up with hot.
I actually grew up in South Texas, and Tex-Mex is very different than Mexican food.
Yeah.
And it tends to be actually spicier.
Yeah.
But the one thing I noticed growing up was when we crossed the border, the food was actually very, very bland immediately across the border. And then you get a little deeper into Mexico, and it's bright and flavorful, and it's just so good. But it's not necessarily super spicy though. It's just so full of flavor.
Yeah.
And so, and then of course I've been to Puerto Rico and I've been to other Latin countries, Spain. And one thing I've noticed is that we as Americans kind of push the boundaries on heat, but not necessarily as flavorful as some of these other cultures.
Yeah, yeah. That seems to be, based on my experience, I'd say it's 100% spot on. I mean, I definitely can see that because, yeah, Marco always says, you Americans have no flavor. Americans have no taste. He says, yeah, it's a far cry from the cheeseburger and French fry. I can only go a week in Mexico without getting a burger. So it's like my burger.
Where do you get a burger from in Mexico City?
Wherever, just a typical restaurant. Go to the mall. I can go to Chili's in the mall if I want to. I've been to Chili's in the mall.
Wait, what? Chili's?
Yeah, they have Chili's. I'm pretty sure it's Chili's.
I've never actually been to Mexico City, so yeah. I just never would have thought.
Oh yeah,
would have been in Mexico City.
Yeah, there's a tourist area, the kind of the downtown area, over by where the embassy is, the U.S. embassy is down there, and there's a whole strip with clubs and bars, and then there's like a mall area and stuff like that. So we went down there one time when I was staying, and yeah, so you can get it if you want it. Basically, it's fantastic because everything is, even the American stuff, it's still so cheap. That's the biggest benefit.
All right, so I say culinary, you say
tasty.
Okay.
Oh no.
So when you think of culinary, you think tasty?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How about cocktail? I know the answer to this, but
that appletini.
Appletini.
Yeah, it's gonna get you. I have to share this.
The bourbon.
Yes. Well, I have to. We had a very good friend. I have to share the story. This stemmed actually from being on the river on the Mississippi. So he owned a yacht, like 32 or 33 foot yacht, and it was open bow, so it could have, I think we could hold at most 16 people on it. So we would go out every single week. We'd go on the river in the summer, and that was like amazing for me because I drove the boats at Disney, and I like really missed being on the water and driving a boat. So it was a perfect opportunity. So he was the most giving person, one of the most giving people I've ever met, and he would welcome anybody on the boat. And it was always, can I get you a cocktail? Can I get you a drink? We'd go to his house and he'd say, can I get you something? Can I make you a cocktail? And then we'd get done with the cocktail. Well, should we go somewhere and have a cocktail? So it kind of becomes this ongoing thing in the house. So we remember him. Unfortunately, shortly after I moved to Florida in 2016, he was diagnosed with cancer, and he passed away I think it'll be 2 years ago in August. So quite unfortunate that way. So it just makes me think of that, hey, can I get you a cocktail? Should we go have a cocktail? Can we, so that was always ingrained into just who he was as a person. I always wanted to make that. So I love the cocktail. I love the appletini. He liked the gin and tonic, which was disgusting to me, but tastes like a Christmas treat. But we discovered our love in appletinis. And I'm just saying, you go to the bar and it's like, there's the two guys making the appletini. It's like, I know what side they're playing for, so it is what it is. It's definitely, not always have to be wearing a pride shirt to make it obvious.
Says the guy wearing the rainbow hat.
Exactly. It was on purpose a little bit.
But gin and tonics really do kind of taste like Christmas.
Yeah.
Unless, it depends on which one, like New Amsterdam doesn't taste quite as bad.
Yeah.
So, and actually locally, St. Augustine gin has, that's a very good flavor as well. It's not nearly as,
There may very well be, I could see that because as wealthy as this person was, the liquor cabinet was all the like Fleischmann's level
premium.
Stuff. No, this was the polar opposite, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Wow.
So if I tasted it, I was getting the terrible stuff.
Oh, okay. You got to come back over to our place. We'll
yeah. Maybe the finer stuff for when he had dinner guests, but when it was party on the boat, go to his house afterwards and cook steaks and whatnot. It was all the cheap liquor. So maybe there's something in that. I didn't discover, but I can see how the quality matters because I didn't discover good tequila until Mexico, and I had.
I'm the same way. Truth.
Yeah, it was.
I thought I hated tequila, and then I went to Cozumel, and I was like, we stumbled upon this little tequileria, and they taught us the differences. I cannot drink less than a reposado, and even a reposado normally. I struggle with it, but there are a couple of that are okay. I just don't like silver tequilas at all.
Yeah.
I usually need an añejo or an extra añejo before I really, truly enjoy it. But I can drink an extra añejo neat. I love it.
Yeah.
Or a mezcal, a good quality mezcal.
Mezcal. I was, because I can't, I had bad experience.
I'm in the cabinet right now. I'm gonna have one after this interview.
Yes. That's the thing. I walk in the door to my in-laws. Thommy, welcome, shots. Because my father-in-law doesn't speak English, so literally all we know how to do is say shots, vodka coke, and another round, please. That's the extent of
the studying, my friend.
What's that?
I think you need to do some studying.
Yeah, that's kind of. I think my other half would agree with you.
You and I can study together.
Yes, there we go. That's, I learned a little bit.
I'm gonna go solo screen for a minute so Carla can come on with her quirky commentary. Okay. But I want you to hang on for a second because I'm gonna bring you back and see if you have anything to say about her commentary.
Okay, all right.
Is that cool with you?
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, foodie fans. I would like to point out, you couldn't see it, my husband was holding the dog the entire time.
He was sleeping.
He's trying to conduct this formal interview. He's holding a small dog. Once again, through no planning or anything, my drink matches my outfit. I can't find the camera. He moved it. And FYI, ladies, shrink your husband's shirt. It doubles your wardrobe. I'm just saying. All right, fun foodie facts. We talked about Australia, which I have personally been to. So, fun foodie facts about Australia. Aussies call sausages snags, and they are a recommended hangover food. So, Bryce, I'm about to shoot this. Can you go get me some snags? Quick, go ahead. They sell approximately 45 million packs of Tim Tams every year. For those of you who don't know, Tim Tams are a chocolate cookie. They're a sandwich cookie covered in chocolate. They're delicious. I've had them. You should go get them. You can get them at World Market. Love them. And they call McDonald's Macca's. That's about the best I can do in an Australian accent. Nobody wants me to hear me butcher it. And last but not least, and definitely not least, you think wine, you think Italy, you think France, you think Napa Valley. You need to be thinking Australia. They are the 4th largest exporter of wine in the world. I have been to Hunter Valley. You need to go. It's amazing. I'm going to send you back to Bryce. I'm going to take the dog, and I'm going to go find me some Australian wine. So, speaking of shrinking, how short is she? Oh, my goodness. Short people are cute. You married me. This is true. He's tall. Hey. He's 5'8". It's not a tall person.
That's why he wears a hat.
That's right. It makes me grow a little. Any thoughts on that? Did you learn anything new?
Yeah, I didn't know about the wine tie-in with Australia.
You didn't? Holy cow! That was the first thing we did. We planned. Yeah. Actually, I'll give a shout out to our good friend Jimmy with Gourmet Getaways in Sydney, Australia. He gave us an amazing experience to the Hunter Valley region in Australia. And it was phenomenal. We had so much fun. He is a gourmet chef and he runs this tour himself. It starts at the Sydney Fish Market and then takes you up into Hunter Valley. And at every stop, he makes a little something for you. and it's gourmet level. And you pair it with all of the different wines that you're tasting throughout the tour. Phenomenal value, great price. He also goes into the Blue Mountains. I haven't done that trip yet. Next time we go to Sydney, we're going.
It's definitely one of those, like, I was so young when I was there. I was just like, where's the closest club? And I want to pet a koala. And that was the thing. Although I'm not a huge wine person, but I'm definitely willing to, like, I would do something like that, you know? And so just one of those things that comes with getting wiser, right?
We actually, one of the last things we had was wattle seed creme brulee. And it was phenomenal. He made it right there in front of us. It was awesome. But it definitely gives you a new appreciation of the wines because he pairs every wine perfectly with the food. And that's actually how I started learning wines, is by pairing with food, because I never really liked wine either. But when I put it together with something, and the same thing with beer, to be honest with you. My very first beer was a German beer because I had it with German food. And it made it that much better. To this day, I really don't drink beer or wine without pairing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Makes it a much more enjoyable experience.
Well, anyway, I do want to thank you. I don't know if there's any places that we missed. I think we got it all, but if we didn't, that's okay. We're definitely, once everything opens back up, I know you're going to be going back out to Disney.
Yeah.
And the Food and Wine Festival out there, and, you know, some other things at Epcot. You know, we're going to have to talk again, I'm sure. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, there's still so much, right? It's always looking to get out there, and I think being a local, I think there's a huge opportunity, because I think it'll take a little bit for the crowds to recover, which means more dining opportunities for us, and a definitely more pleasant experience, hopefully. Well, I guess not hopefully, because we want the company to come back. I don't want them to, like, not make money, right? So that's gotta be a thing. But it would be nice to have a little reprieve from the typical insanity that is Walt Disney World from a crowd perspective. That's for sure.
Disney definitely means way too much to Central Florida. So
yeah, definitely.
All right, well, thank you again. I really appreciate you being my guest. Thommy with an H, the relationship foodie.
Yeah,
we appreciate you coming on board, and if there's anything we can do to help your business, let us know. But we'd love to see you again, and thanks again.
Cool, awesome, look forward to it.
If you like what we're doing here, hit subscribe. For more ways to be involved, or if you'd like to know more about how we can help you find the very best in food and wine, by land or by sea, check out our page at foodandwinecruiseplanners.com/podcast.